Hello, hello. Welcome in. Welcome in. Gonna let some people join up in here. If you're in the chat, say hello. Social blast this out. We can get some people in here. If you're in the chat, say hello. Hello. I see you in there. Z, what's good? Takedown tomorrow. Ernie, what's good? Tristan, what's good? We're going to let some people join up in here. So this is going to be a normal Saturday night thing, I think, for the most part throughout the season. I'll be here just talking, last thoughts. Matt, what's up? Just going to give little last thoughts on the slate. And then obviously I'll still go live Sunday mornings at 11. That'll be more focused on question and answer, but I'll answer plenty of questions. If you guys have any questions or anything, drop it in the chat and we can discuss it. So yeah, basically I have not finalized any of my teams for this week. I mean, I've messed around with builds and stuff, but I haven't built any of my teams out yet. So I'll be doing that later tonight or early in the morning. I think that you can see on my screen here, I have our projections pulled up. This has some of my grades for players in it, and then guys that I like this week. So I think that how this is going to work this week. I think that Josh Allen, sorry, I'm trying to get people to join up in here. All right. I think that Josh Allen is going to be the highest owned, which when I did the video earlier this week on Tuesday or whatever that was, I was kind of hoping that he would, fly a little bit under the radar because of how bad that he played last week, but that doesn't seem to be the case. I think that Josh Allen and Trevor Lawrence are going to command a lot of the quarterback ownership. Obviously, quarterback ownership doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things because it's generally pretty spread out. But I do think those guys are going to be the highest owned. I think that those stacks are going to be the highest owned. So, I think personally, as of right now, I think people are overthinking the Anthony Richardson thing. Like, I really want to play Anthony Richardson tomorrow. You can play him in cash. I like him a lot in tournaments. I think people are overthinking it. I get that he is closely priced to someone like Trevor Lawrence or a couple of the other guys, but look, Anthony Richardson, I don't see how after what he did in week one, you don't want to play him. Obviously, it's a close spread game. It's a 1-point spread, 1.5 against the Texans. It's a great matchup, right? Super, super good matchup. And I mean, they let him throw way more than I thought they would. So he does have somewhat of a ceiling passing the ball. They called a ton of quarterback design runs, second most in the NFL in week one, which was very encouraging to see. And he got carries in the red zone. And Indianapolis played at the fastest neutral pace in the NFL. Houston, their opponent, played at the second fastest neutral pace in the NFL in week one. So even though the total of the game is not great, I think that both of these offenses want to play fast, which is good. I think Indy, with how they're calling their offense, is going to force their opposing teams are just going to play fast naturally because of how they've called their offense. So the offense is good. I get stacking him is hard, but if you're playing smaller field type tournaments like I play, and a lot of people that watch this content play, you don't have to stack him. If you want to stack him, you could get into like a Pittman and then one guy on the opposite side, but you can just play him by himself and play a Houston Texans receiver. And Nico Collins is pretty cheap at 4,800. Tank Dell has come on to play, so I have Tank Dell graded as a pretty good play here in our projections. I think with Noah Brown out, we're going to see his snaps come up. I was encouraged in terms of what he did on the field in week 1. He looked as good as he did in the preseason. So you have Tank Dell at a low 3K price. So you can play Anthony Richardson and Nico Collins or Tank Dell. And it's a pretty cheap stack. And then you can stack the other good games in your lineup with that stack. So I think people are overthinking the Anthony Richardson stuff. I really want to play Anthony Richardson aggressively tomorrow. I'm definitely gonna have him on my main tournament team. I'll probably play him in cash, but we'll see. I haven't messed around with cash build yet. We'll see. I don't know. Injury stuff, like obviously. Good evening from Cali, Carlos. What's up? Obviously, the big injuries this week were Josh Kelly getting a huge boost up because Austin Eckler's not going to play, and then A.J. Dillon getting a huge boost up because Aaron Jones is not going to play. And then somebody in chat just asked, okay, playing Kelly and Dillon and Cash together. Yeah, so on DraftKings, I think you just put those two guys in at running back, and then you kind of move on. I do think McCaffrey is going to be pretty decently owned. So it's trying to parse between two of Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, two of those guys, Keenan Allen. So, like, you're trying to decide between playing two of those 4 receivers, or then you could add McCaffrey in as well, like, in the flex. Good evening, Sergeant Sugar. What's up? Okay, playing Richardson, Zach Moss. I would not be playing Zach Moss in cash. If you want to play Zach Moss in tournaments, I think that's fine. But I probably wouldn't play him with Zach Moss because if you're playing Anthony Richardson, you are wanting Anthony Richardson to run the ball, specifically in the red zone. Like when they get down close to the goal line, you want Anthony Richardson to take those carries. So if you're playing him and Zach Moss, I don't know what Zach Moss's ceiling is in the same lineup as Anthony Richardson when you're hoping, like, you need Anthony Richardson to get goal line carries if you're playing him. So I don't think those guys correlate very well together. I would not play them together. I also would not play Zach Moss in cash games. You definitely, on DraftKings, there's a very strong mid-tier of running backs this week. But I think you start with A.J. Dillon and Josh Kelly, and then you move on from that. So with that being said, speaking of A.J. Dillon and Josh Kelly, because I know people will ask this question about tournaments, I'm more inclined. So coming into the week, if you would have told me A.J. Dillon and Josh Kelly are cash plays because Austin Eckler and Aaron Jones are out, I would have said I would rather play A.J. Dillon in tournaments, but I actually think I would rather play Josh Kelly in tournaments. Even though the matchup, Tennessee is basically the only team in the NFL that really like gives their all to stop opposing running backs. They have a dominant defensive front. They have a dominant best run defense in the league. And they're basically the only team that in today's NFL, most teams are more of like, you can run on us a little bit, but we're trying to lock down the back end. We're going to play cover 2, all that stuff. The Tennessee Titans are to do the opposite, where you can throw all over the Tennessee Titans, but it is very difficult to run on them. So it's like the only matchup that it's really, really tough. That being said, even with that, hopefully people fade Josh Kelly in small field tournaments. I don't think they will, but because of that matchup thing, I don't know if it matters. I think that the Chargers basically have nothing behind Josh Kelly. They have Elijah Dotson, I think is going to be the second running back, and then they have Spiller. Spiller runs like a 4.9. Like most of the chat is as fast as Spiller. So he's basically a 0. Dotson, whatever. They don't have anything behind Josh Kelly. Josh Kelly has some juice. He looked really good last year in the preseason. He looked really good this year in the preseason. He looked really good last week in an actual NFL game. And again, I know the matchup is tough, but man, I mean, the role is just going to be so good. And especially, the Chargers have a pretty decent team total, and you would expect them to score a good amount of points against Tennessee. Like, I think you could probably expect them to score at least 3 touchdowns, at least 3 touchdowns against Tennessee. And Josh Kelly is going to get red zone work. And he has shown in the past, he didn't do a lot catching last week. He has shown in the past he can catch the ball too. So I don't know. I'm fine playing Josh Kelly, even at ownership in tournaments on DraftKings. FanDuel, it's a little bit scarier because of the pricing. There's more guys priced around him, and he's more expensive. DraftKings, where he's only $5K, it's tough for me not to play him. Even in basically the worst possible matchup, it's tough for me not to play him. So I've come on to Josh Kelly. Like, obviously, I said earlier in the week, if Austin Eckler's out, you're going to play Josh Kelly in cash. But I think Josh Kelly's a fine tournament play too. I wouldn't play 100% of him or anything like that. If you're playing, 4, 5, 6 lineups, I wouldn't play 100%. But you don't have to just play him on your, double up team and then not play him in tournaments. I think he's fine in tournaments. So that's my take there. A.J. Dillon, I'm less inclined to play in tournaments because I think there's a greater chance of the offense struggling. Not so much out of respect for the Atlanta Falcons defense, but just the fact that of how Atlanta want to play. Atlanta's going to be in really, really gross games all year because of how they're going to run the ball and eat the clock. And if they just keep the Packers offense off the field for long amounts of time, I mean, it's just not really a situation you want to play into as chalk, in my opinion. So I'm more inclined to play Josh Kelly in tournaments than I am A.J. Dillon at their current ownership prediction. Christian Kirk in tournaments. If you want to take a shot on Christian Kirk, it's fine. I'd rather play Zay Jones. I'm just not encouraged. Like, it's going to be a shootout most likely, but I'm just not encouraged by what I saw from Christian Kirk. I mean, he wasn't even playing in 2 wide receiver sets, which isn't good. Clearly, Zay Jones was playing ahead of him, so I don't know. If there's ever a time to play Christian Kirk, it is this week because he's not going to be owned after week 1, and it's basically the best possible game environment that you're going to get all season. But not encouraged by what I saw, and I don't play enough teams to get him. I'm probably going to have 4 teams on DraftKings tomorrow. Probably don't have enough teams to get to Christian Kirk. Are you more on Allen than Ridley? I don't know. Are you asking I think people will play Josh Allen and Calvin Ridley in their cash lineups. I think Calvin Ridley's probably going to be the highest owned receiver on DraftKings. I think Josh Allen's definitely going to be the highest owned quarterback. I think in cash, you just play Ridley. In tournaments, it's more of a conversation. FanDuel, it's more of a conversation as well. Keenan Allen. Okay, Matt. That's my bad. That's my bad. Keenan Allen versus Ridley. That is, I think cash, you play Ridley. Tournaments, you can play Keenan Allen. I think there will be cash lineups with both those guys because there is paths by plugging in Kelly and Dillon and a cheap defense and Luke Musgrave, who's going to be 40% owned at tight end. That's 3,300. Like, you put those guys in, and then you just put in Calvin Ridley, Keenan Allen, and your quarterback. I mean, there's ways to make that work. So I think people will play both of them. If I was only choosing one for cash, it's Calvin Ridley. Tournaments, I'm fine with Keenan Allen. Matt had a good nugget in our Discord. Let me see if I can pull it up here. So Matt posted this at 6:39 p.m. in our Discord in the free channel. So if you're not in the Discord, you can actually get access to this channel for free. But he posted Keenan Allen targets in the last 6 games that Austin Eckler missed. 6, 19, 7, 11, 12, 13. So, you definitely feel like they lean on him a little bit more without those short to intermediate Eckler dump offs. And, it's a really, really good matchup against Tennessee. Tennessee's down guys in the secondary on top of the fact that they're just so easy to throw on. So, just a really, really good matchup for Keenan Allen. Really tough fade, I think. I would want Keenan Allen on one of my few main teams, I think. A non-quarterback rookie who breaks out this week can't be Flowers. Ernie, I'll go with Tank Dell. I've been a big Tank Dell guy since he got drafted. And without Noah Brown, with him supposedly playing more snaps this week in an amazing matchup. Fast pace against the Colts. Colts outside corners in general are not very good. The Colts got absolutely cooked by the Jags receivers last week. So I'll go with Tank Dell for a non-quarterback rookie who breaks out. James Cook for tournaments. Raiders allowed 10 receptions. I think James Cook's fine, especially if it's a lineup where you're not playing Josh Allen in it. But I will say there's cheaper guys I like more than him. I would rather play Kenneth Walker than James Cook, I think. Not saying James Cook can't have a big game. He certainly can. He's absolutely electric with the ball in his hands, but his role is not as good as we think it is. They don't seem inclined to use him near the goal line or the red zone, which did kind of, I don't know, it hurts him for me at his price. When Kenneth Walker's cheaper than James Cook, I'm going to take Kenneth Walker 100%. But he is fine. If it's a non-Josh Allen team, I think he's fine. How do you feel about Jacobs? Jacobs is a fine tournament play. You could do a mini correlation, I think, if you wanted to get a little weird on a non-Josh Allen team, and you could use a Buffalo pass catcher, whether it be Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, or Dalton Kincaid, and then you could use Josh Jacobs on the other side. Logan or Ertz on FanDuel, are you paying up? I don't think I'd play either of those guys. Higbee's really cheap on FanDuel again. I'd probably play him for a cash game type thing. Zach Ertz, no. Logan Thomas, no. Will Musgrave be a cash tight end? Yeah, Musgrave is going to be the highest owned tight end on DraftKings, I think, for sure. I think most people will be playing him. So play him in cash. I probably won't use him in tournaments if he ends up as chalky as what it looks like he'll be, but he's a fine play. No issues. He's just too cheap. He's just too cheap. There's other cheap tight ends this week though, so I think that's why I think in tournaments I think you can certainly play somebody else. Did you pick Giants for Survivor? That's a good question. So if you guys saw earlier in this week, I made a Survivor pool video. I'm gonna be doing that every week on Wednesdays. I haven't submitted mine yet, but I'm actually leaning more Bills than Giants. In the video, I came to the conclusion that it was Bills or Giants for this week. I'm leaning more Bills right now. So in my main one, I have 4 entries. I might go 3 Bills, 1 Giants, or 2 Bills, 2 Giants. Or I might go 3 Bills, 1 Giants. I don't know. I'm leaning more heavier Bills right now, to be quite honest with you guys. If you guys tailed the my college football bets for today in the Discord, we've already won 1. We had Washington minus 16.5 against Michigan State. That was an easy winner. We have a bet in the Colorado game later tonight. We have a parlay going. Which is looking pretty good right now. It's going to come down to Arizona tonight, I think. Olave without Horner and taking advantage. I might play Michael Thomas in tournament-wise. Both guys should be good. That game, I'm not playing that slate. That game's on Monday night, so I mean, maybe I'll probably play the 2-game slate. So I'm sure I'll be interested in Olave on that, but he is not on the main slate. Favorite tournament running back? Favorite tournament running back. That's tough. I like some of the chalkier running backs this week. I like Kenneth Walker as a low-owned guy again this week. I really, it seems to me like people really want to play Steph Diggs, and people really want to play Devontae Adams, and people really want to play Christian McCaffrey. And I'm sure, I don't know, I feel like people are not playing Amon-Ra St. Brown. And if you guys watched the cash process video, I mean, I said right away, like that was basically my favorite spot on the slate. I mean, the Rams just got cooked over the middle of the field. I think it's a really, really good matchup at home for Amon-Ra, and it doesn't look like he's going to be super chalky. So I really, really want to get aggressive, and I'm probably going to play him on like 2 or 3 of my 4 lineups. I think you can get Kenneth Walker on the other side of him. So that's one for tournaments. I wrote about Pacheco in my article a little bit. I don't know. I can't decide. I think Pacheco's fine for tournaments, but I think I prefer Kenny Walker right now. So that's one. Is Jamar going to be lower owned? I think Jamar will probably be lower owned too, definitely than Diggs and Adams. So he's a pretty good play. I'll probably have a Burrow team. I wrote about that in my article, but I'll definitely probably have a Burrow team this week. So I'm going to have some Jamar exposure. Amon-Ra should do good. Only downfall blowout. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it definitely could blow out, but I mean, if it does, I would assume Amon-Ra does what he needs to do if it's a blowout. Thoughts on a Geno JSN stack? Yeah, no one's playing. I mean, I really liked Geno last week. I'm not encouraged with their offensive line injuries, but look, at the end of the day, it still has one of the highest totals of the week, and I don't really think anybody is going to stack that game like that from the Seattle side. So I don't think I'd do that in small field. Maybe that's fine. I think for like a bigger field like GPPs, I definitely think Seattle's interesting because I don't really think anyone's going to play them. And it's fine. It's fine for tournaments. Is Nakua over Flowers an ownership thing? Not sure I get it, especially with the injury. Well, I think he's fine injury-wise. I wouldn't worry so much about the injury since they pretty much said like he's good to go. I don't think it's an ownership thing. I mean, look, pretty much no rookie receiver has in the last like I don't even know 15 years has had a 10 for 115 game in their first ever NFL start on 15 targets. Like we can't overstate how hard it is to command 15 targets in your first ever NFL game. And I think Puka is like a good receiver. Like I liked him coming into the year. A lot of people were scrambling to pick him up season long. I already had him on most of my season long teams on the bench. I didn't start him in any leagues last week. I wasn't expecting that, but I mean, I think he's good. I think Zay Flowers is very good also. So the thing about that question though, Zay Flowers is bringing Mark Andrews back into the fold, who is obviously very good, obviously commands targets. So I think they're both. I think Puka and Flowers are both good plays. I think it's a coin flip. I don't think there's a definitive one answer to that question. It's kind of just whatever you want. But with Mark Andrews coming back, I don't know. Puka really doesn't have to. Who is Puka fighting for targets with? Like Tutu Atwell is like 5'5". So I feel like target wise, you would have a better projection on Puka, but Flowers is going to mix in and get a couple carries too, I think. I crushed last weekend. My guy had Anthony Richardson, Ridley, JJ Tyreek. It's a good lineup for cash. I mean, yeah, I mean, like I said, I just like the game environment is similar, I feel like, total wise, and Puka doesn't have to compete as much for targets. That's probably why people will be playing him. But I definitely like Zay Flowers too. Your favorite low-owned and medium-owned stack on FanDuel, Herbert to Big Mike. Yeah, that's definitely in consideration. I still don't think people will be playing Bengals really, so I would say Burrow. If you want to do Burrow Higgins or Burrow Chase, I just don't like. I coming into the week, I didn't think people. Not that I didn't think people would play him, but I didn't think people would be that excited to play Josh Allen. Clearly, they are. He's gonna be the highest on play quarterback apparently, but it seems like they're not excited really to play Joe Burrow. So I might say Joe Burrow. Thoughts on paying up for Kelsey Andrews at tight end at their ownership? Kelsey Andrews, I don't know. I don't know. I think he's fine if you're playing a game stack. I wouldn't be playing him outside of that. Kelsey, I think, is 100% fine. You can just mini him with Ridley. I think it's fine. If you want to play him in a game stack, I think that's fine. I think Kelsey, health-wise, I worry less about Kelsey than Andrews. But yeah, Andrews is a tournament, like in a game stack only. Kelsey, I think, is 100% fine. Mahomes just has nobody else to throw to. And, you know, Jacksonville is a really good matchup. He had a monster game against them in the playoffs last year. It's a really good spot for Kelsey. And you can fit him in. Like, people don't realize this, but like when people say double tight end, you think that's like a gross thing. If you can play double tight end on DraftKings with Kelsey, Kelsey is a receiver basically. Like don't even pay attention that it's double tight end. Like you can play Kelsey in the flex with one of those cheap tight ends, and it's completely fine. Want to play Gibbs, but I don't know how much. Yeah, Matt, I like Gibbs a lot. I was talking about him a few days ago, and then I know Matt that provides some stuff here at Karma, who's very sharp. He's come on to Gibbs as well. I want to just be ahead. I'm going to play Gibbs for the next few weeks. I don't know when the big game is coming, but I want to be ahead of it. It is inevitably coming. So I want to be ahead of the Gibbs game. I wouldn't go overboard, but if you're playing a handful of lineups, I think it's fine to have Gibbs on one. FanDuel Gibbs is going to be chalky, though, like based off where he's priced. He's going to be pretty decently owned on FanDuel, but DraftKings, I do not think he will be owned at all. St. Brown or Diggs? Oh, man. I mean, I guess it would depend on the rest of the lineup. If you're asking me straight up, I think I got to go with my. I think it's St. Brown. I think I got to go with my guy, but I don't know. Are there any FanDuel specific plays? I think like Gibbs is a FanDuel specific play, like for cash games. Like Tyler Higbee, I think is a FanDuel specific play. Lamar Jackson is a FanDuel specific play. He's for some reason really cheap on FanDuel this week. So he's gonna be pretty chalky over there. DK 7.7K or Lockett for FanDuel tournament. I would lean DK over Lockett for this specific matchup, I think. Would you consider Nick Westbrook an attorney if Hopkins out? I would not. I think that's a little thin, personally, for me. Do you play Chase and Higgins together in a lineup with Burrow? I think you could play both for sure, especially if it's like a medium-sized field or smaller field type contest. I think you can definitely play both. I haven't built, like I said, I haven't built any lineups officially yet, but Burrow double with those two is definitely in play for me for one of my 4 or 5 lineups. I think Houston D-busts. Yeah, I mean, if you're playing like a Houston type defense, like you're not really hoping for much, just some sacks and like some turnovers, which definitely can happen against Anthony Richardson. Which can be like most KC versus Jax or Seattle versus Detroit. I mean, KC versus Jacksonville for me, but it's also going to be higher owned, so that's definitely a conversation. But I like KC versus Jacksonville more personally. Which wide receiver breaks the slate? Oh, hmm. Breaks the slate. There's quite a few guys that could break the slate. I think I'll give you 3 guys I think could really break the slate. Amon-Ra for sure, Keenan Allen, and is the weather a concern at all? Nah, it's gonna rain. I don't like it's gonna rain at some point, but I don't think it's gonna rain the whole game. I'm not worrying about any rain as of now. Thoughts on Conquo? Yeah, Chig is fine for sure. I really just don't want to bet on the Titans offense personally, but Chig is fine. If you're running Herbert stacks, you need a run back. My favorite run back in a Chargers build is Derrick Henry. I think you could play Derrick Henry with the Chargers guys. I don't really want to mess with any of the Titans receivers, even if Hopkins is out. If Hopkins is out, it makes me like Henry even more because that's more reason for them to just run the football like they like to do. So I like Derrick Henry a lot this week. That's pretty much the only Titans guy I'm on. I think Chig is fine, but there's enough cheap tight ends that I don't think I'm going to end up with any of him. I just don't trust Ryan Tannehill, to be quite honest with you guys. There are other games with other. Yeah, I saw like the ones in Florida. There's some potential rain and maybe some potential rain in the Cincy game, but like I said, currently I'm not worried about any weather. We'll check again in the morning, but I'm not super worried about it. Do you like Debo this week? I do. I don't know if I'll play him in cash on DraftKings, but I think he's a very good play. I think he's definitely a good play at his price. Does DFS kind of have a stack winner probability tool? There's multiple tools in the optimizer. I don't have a tool on the website for that, but I mean, you can mess around with stack stuff in the optimizer. Thoughts on Saquon and tournaments, Tristan? I think he's a good play for sure. Giants will play much better this week than last week, and I don't think anyone's playing Giants, guys. I think Saquon will be low owned. I think Darren Waller will be pretty low owned. I like both those guys for tournaments. Don't know how much I'll end up with them, but Saquon I think is good. Yeah, for sure. Would you play Gibbs in tournaments? Yeah. FanDuel. I don't know if I'd play him in tournaments on FanDuel. Actually, I don't know because he's going to be so much higher owned. DraftKings, I would play him in tournaments. Afternoon games tomorrow, crappy. Yeah, they're not very good. The San Fran LA Rams has some shootout potential, but the other ones not super good. Agree with you. Not a lot to really swap to, I feel like, in the late games. But I think that San Fran Rams game could shoot out for sure. Or there could be a lot of points scored at least. I'm trying to figure out what to do with McCaffrey because I do feel like he's going to get some ownership on DK, and I don't currently have him in like my main like lineup. So I've been trying to figure out if I want to play him or not. Danny Dimes or Justin Herbert FanDuel tournament. That's tough. That is tough. It's really sad because I think Justin Herbert is so good, but I don't know. A lot of times he just doesn't have these huge fan games. I'll go with. Oh, I'll go with Daniel Jones if you use him in a Waller stack, and then get like you can just like you can play Danny Dimes to Waller, and then you can still play a Chargers receiver. That would be my strategy. Is Pat Mahomes gonna be owned? He'll get ownership, but I don't think he'll. DraftKings is pretty tightly priced. There's no way his ownership gets out of control. Like, he just costs too much money. Like, people will play Lawrence up ahead of him. People will play Josh Allen ahead of him. He'll have some ownership, but it's not going to be crazy. Would Troutman be a cash or GPP play? Yeah, more of a cash. I mean, I wouldn't play him over Musgrave or Kincaid, but I don't know what his ceiling is for tournaments. I think Musgrave and Kincaid are just better plays than him personally. Two plus touchdown call. 2+ touchdown call. I'll go with Anthony Richardson on the ground. 2+ touchdown call. Would you pay up at running back on FanDuel or best go low mid tier? Yeah, I mean, typically on FanDuel, you want to spend up at running back. This year, it's been a little bit different, at least the first week, based off their pricing. I do think people will go more mid tier this week as well. So, like I said, getting up to like a Henry or a Saquon or somebody like that, I think that's a pretty good move in tournaments. I know Anthony said he was playing Derrick Henry in his main FanDuel team also. Travis just posted the week 2 selection counts from Pollard or Saquon FanDuel tournaments. Both are really good. Pollard's a really interesting play. That's tough. That's really tough. I might actually lean Pollard. That's really close. Bills were the most popular at 29.35, 40% of the field. Giants were second at 12.92, almost 18% of the field. Broncos were third at 12% of the field. Interesting. Wouldn't have thought the Broncos were a third there. Cowboys at 9%, Lions at 5%, Niners at 5%, Eagles at 4%. Gabe Davis or DJ Moore on DraftKings? Give me DJ Moore. Did you see that clip when Ritter missed Pitts on multiple plays? Yeah, I mean, he's not good at football. So, do you think they try to force feed? No, they don't care. Arthur Smith does not care. Arthur Smith could care less about force feeding anybody. He just wants to do what he does and try and win the game. So, I don't think they're going to force feed anyone. And Desmond Ridder is just not good. Anyone that, if you listen, look, I'm not saying I'm right all the time or whatever, but if you had people in the offseason that you listen to talk about football and you value their opinion and they were trying to pawn off to you that Desmond Ridder is a good NFL quarterback, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. He's just not good. So if you were choosing to live or die on the Desmond Ridder hill, it's just, I don't know. That's not good. Travis, I don't think you're still in the chat, but I can't believe that people pay, $1,500 to get in this survivor pool and they just don't submit a pick. I just like this doesn't make sense to me. 7 people did not submit a pick. Unbelievable. I don't know, man. I'm still leaning Bills, Travis, if you're in here, but I know they're the chalkiest pick, but I just don't see how they lose this week. Maybe I'll go 2 Bills to I'm surprised the Cowboys were lower owned than they were. Maybe I'll go 2 Bills, 2 Giants, and just call it a day. I don't think that the Bills are going to lose. I think it would be more likely the Giants would lose than the Bills. Favorite tight end for tournaments? Comes down to lineup for me. Even if it's a non-Josh Allen team, I like Kincaid just to get exposure to that game. And then if you're playing Josh Allen, I like Kincaid as a stack with Josh Allen. I like Jake Ferguson as a sleeper. If you want a sleeper for like the low-owned guy that's in the afternoon, like if you have a lineup and it's all 1 p.m. guys and you're one of those people that you really want afternoon guys and you want a low-owned afternoon guy, Jake Ferguson fits that mold for me. So I like those two, and I like Darren Waller as well, who is also in the afternoon. So that's probably my guys. Who do you think it hurts most if they go down 0-2? The Giants, I don't think, can go 0-2. I mean, just super tough division. I think Dallas is very good this year. I think obviously Philly's good. Philly's already 2-0. Dallas has a very, very good chance of being 2-0. So, they've already lost a divisional game against Dallas. It would be tough for the Giants to go down 0-2. I mean, the Vikings, it's like super hard, I think, for the Vikings to be 0-2, and they are. Chargers cannot. I don't really think the Chargers can go 0-2. They definitely need to win this game. Jets defense is a cheap defense. Jets is fine, I think, for sure. No issues with Jets defense. All right, we've been on for 42 minutes. If you guys have any last-minute questions, I'll stay on like another 3 minutes. I'm going to build my teams. If you guys are not subscribed, you want access to my core plays, AC, Matt, everybody, exactly who we're playing in our lineups tomorrow. You just go to dfskarma.com/pricing, sign up, and then you get in the Discord. You don't even have to get in the Discord. Obviously, Discord's a big part of the sign up, but if you don't want to get in the Discord, you don't have to. It's right on the website, our core plays. You can see exactly who I'm playing in my lineup tomorrow, Matt, AC. If you want betting information, my betting card, I'm up over 30 units over the last month betting. So you get my picks, but you also get the amazing tools of Bet Karma. You get prize picks projections, sleeper projections, sleeper picks, underdog fantasy projections. You get the money line predictor, the total predictor. We're launching a spread predictor soon, which literally gives you predictions for how we think games are going to end up. It's been very, very good so far. College football, NFL. I have a bunch of NFL bets posted for tomorrow, prop picks, all that good stuff. So betkarma.com/pricing if you want betting access, dfskarma.com/pricing if you want DFS access, or just get in the Discord for free and ask me in there, and I'll point you in the direction. Raiders defense this week. They're very cheap, Tristan, and Josh Allen will throw a pick or two, so I don't think that's a bad call. I think that's a pretty good call. Overall, thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, this will be a routine Saturday night thing, I think. I'll be live tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. to answer your final questions. I'm going to go build some teams, and I'll see you guys in the morning.